All right, we in there. What's going on out there, everybody that's tuned in? This is Team JVS. I got my man Matthew. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, man? Here to talk about Suicide Squad. That's what
Yes,
everybody got to
sir.
say about this movie.
Yes, sir. So we got lined up tonight on our end. We're going to be doing a spoiler-filled review. Matt, if you're available, you're more than welcome to join for that. But this is going to be a specific conversation because there seems to be kind of a low-key revolt. It seems to be that some people are like, yeah, this movie is garbage. Man, it's mediocre. Man, it's lower-tier DCU. And then some people said that it's the best thing since sliced bread. Now, Matt, you said you've seen this movie twice at this point, right?
So far, yeah.
Okay, so just in your own words, what do you think about it right now?
Honestly, the first thing that I did when I went into this movie was to completely forget the David Ayer release, because I already knew going into that film in itself had theater. It had a corporate interference. It had big dog interference. There was a whole bunch of situations with that film. So I'm like, you know what? Let me not even focus too much on that movie, but focus on this one. And because of my perspective on it going into this is like, okay, I'm not going to be looking too much into this. I'm not going to, criticize it too harshly. I'm just going to look for a good Suicide Squad movie that gave me lots of gore, lots of funny moments, lots of, good action sequences. And that's what I got. Good music, because it's James Gunn, he's always very particular with his song choices in his films. And I said, okay, this is something I'm looking forward to. So for me, with all of that said, I left watching this movie. Watching this movie, especially on the second time, absolutely enjoying it, 100%. Of course, I can see the problems that people might have had with the film, but that was not something that mattered to me. I just wanted to enjoy myself, and I enjoyed myself both times. Yeah, and I'm smiling thinking about it because I just genuinely enjoyed the film.
Yeah, and just for context, I can say this for me, that I very much so loved Zack Snyder's Justice League. I loved Man of Steel. And I think that, Matt, you enjoyed Zack Snyder's Justice League as well. That also came out earlier this year. So it's kind of like,
enjoyed it.
It's like, some people would say that those are opposite sides of spectrum. But to me, it's kind of embracing a certain element of DC Comics in general and just going full tilt, like unfiltered, unadulterated. And I think you had said that you were expecting gore. You were expecting like shenanigans. You were expecting James Gunn to be full James Gunn. Is that correct?
Yep.
So it's kind of like, I think that's where we're going to kind of iron in where maybe some negatives and positives kind of come in versus some people that may be putting this on the spectrum that this is not their DCU. This is not a part of the Snyderverse. So thus we should, castrate it. And that's where I want to make sure that that's not a part of the situation here. I really want people to give their full, ideas of why they didn't like it. And that's why I say anybody that's in the chat right now, make sure you leave hashtag comment, this is my thoughts on Suicide Squad, whatever it is. If it's something small, if it was the new, okay, I'm gonna say this, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the movie, we're going full tilt. So anything goes in this, Matt. So anything you want to talk about, anything you saw as a problem, we can talk about. Okay.
Okay.
So just know that, you guys, if you ain't seen the movie, you could get spoiled. Okay. But again, nudity, gore, dark humor, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? It resulted in something that I'm going to put this headline up right here. Why the Suicide Squad stumbled at the box office, despite the best laid plans in Hollywood and cinema operators, the movie theater business is still struggling to recover from COVID-19. So now these are two finitely different problems. Some people say they just really didn't like the movie. And then the other people are saying they didn't like the movie and that's the reason why it underperformed. I would disagree because the variant is real right now. Not too many people are trying to put themselves at risk versus even when the Birds of Prey, when it initially came out, I think Akasan kind of harping on this. I'll kind of give him a little shout out because I was looking at his little podcast. is that the similar thing happened to Birds of Prey when it released out. I think it released out at like 33 million, but it was at the height in the beginning of the pandemic. And so it's kind of like this as a rated R film was the best rated R film during the pandemic, but as far as the performance, it's showing that it underperformed as far as the franchise. And just in your personal opinion, Matt, do you think that people's perspective on whether or not it was good or not laid a foundation of why this didn't perform as good as it could have? Or do you think it's okay? Yeah,
I don't think so. Like, I mean, when you look at as someone who just loves science and appreciates science, you have to look. When you look at data, you have to look at all the variables. You have to look at all the context. You have to look at every single thing that lays into something. Of course, there is a possibility on that spectrum that people liking or disliking the film or protesting against the film could have played a role in it not doing well. But just from what I've seen, I don't necessarily think that's a realistic approach. Honestly, like you mentioned, the new variant of the Delta of for COVID is going on right now. There's a lot of people who are both vaccinated and unvaccinated, afraid of this and staying away from theaters. I'm vaccinated. I've been vaccinated since May, and I still haven't stepped foot in the theater yet. I go to the gym every day, but I'm very careful at the gym. I go early when no one's there.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people, there's a lot of hesitation with that. So that's another huge factor to consider when you're talking about, box office performances and stuff like that. And also HBO Max as well. You have that to consider in the role. Lots of people stayed home. I reacted to it on my channel because it was out, it was home. I did it, and that's that. And I enjoyed it. Yeah. So I don't know. I wouldn't say that's a fair argument to make, as it's exclusively people disliking this film or liking this film is why it's not doing good.
Yeah, and the other thing is that this is a rated R film, you guys. Rated R film, it's one thing you got. Flip! I can't even take my kids to see this. I don't have a babysitter because it's during the pandemic. I'm just gonna watch this at home. Or I'm just gonna low-key bootleg it, because some people don't even care to stream. They're just gonna bootleg the thing. So let's talk reality here. If you got a pandemic that is getting and spiraling into uncharted territories to the point where people are having to change things into a worse situation, on top of it being a rated R film, I think that there's a lot of different things that would say that dictated a lot of the box office. I think I even talked to my cohort Lucas, is that, man, if this would have only released directly in theaters, this could have made a little bit more money. But because it's readily available, and even James Gunn said, he's like, I don't really care. I want this to be available so everybody can see it. I want this for the entertainment. I want you guys to be entertained. And if it's a good enough film to entertain you guys, you're going to watch it again and you'll want more from me, which is true. Like if you give people enough that they want to hold on to, then that's it. When I look at the Loki show, I never thought that I'd want to see a second season of Loki, but I do. Like they wowed me. I mean, yes, Jonathan Majors, of course, threw the whole thing, for me, but it was something about the way they executed it. It's kind of like, man, it's a little bit of Doctor Who, a little bit of something else, and I'm just in love with it, and I want to see more. And I think that is what the Suicide Squad gave to me in a way that I didn't suspect. These two films are very vastly different. And the reality is, even if you look at what David Ayer's even saying, nobody's seen his original vision. The first trailer showed a very fundamentally different film, and I can only imagine if that would have been rated R, it'd been vastly different. It might not have been no jokes at all, which is fine. But this was definitely James Gunn's film in its entirety. But let's look at a couple other things real quick. So right here we've got dude is represented from The Boys. He's like, I loved it. Watched it twice already. Bravo to James Gunn. Who else? Somebody brought in the fact that this did take luxuries from the progression of Harley Quinn, which I really want to talk about in spoiler review tonight. Her evolution as a character coming from the Suicide Squad, coming to the Harley Quinn movie to now, she is very vastly different. She's trying to protect. She's her own individual, and it's awesome. I think, honestly, in my personal opinion, this is the best we've seen of Harley. But I'll go into that later. And then Stephen DeKnight himself said, James Gunn killed it. Like, this is hysterical, stunning action and real heart. And if you're a fan of DC Comics or just ridiculous rated R good time, go see And I was kind of like, this is the thing that if anybody out there, and I'm gonna put myself on this because I shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna say it. If anybody's saying that, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad is not indicative or representative of what Zack Snyder pushed into the fray, you're wrong. Zack Snyder fully trusts James Wan to do James Wan with Aquaman. He fully trusted Patty Jenkins to do what she was going to do with Wonder Woman. And I know for a fact, if you don't know, that his most successful film, Dawn of the Dead, was written by James Gunn. They're friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that if Zack Snyder, I'm really waiting for him to make a comment about it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm pretty sure he's going to be like, yo, you crushed it. And I want to see how many people that was talking all this trash, like, this is not representative of the Snyder Cut. This is Warner Brothers trying to downshoot this. They're trying to take James Gunn and make him the new, director of whatever the Justice League is going to be, or the new face of DC. I don't think that's it. I think it's just a good film. And I think that if anything, Zach would really embrace what James did in this film. So I just want to add that. Yeah, please.
Can I comment on that? So here's my thing about the whole Zack Snyder situation, right? I've said this since the beginning. I'm not a Zack Snyder like cultist or someone that's like, I just appreciate the man's films. All right. I appreciate the man's films as a comic book fan. I loved what I saw. I got amazing action. That's what I needed from that. But for those people who are saying, oh man, James Gunn is coming in to replace Zack Snyder, even if that's the truth, so what? You know what I'm saying? I say so what, because I mean this in a good way. It's time to move on. Mm-hmm. It's time to move on. I think if WB and Zack Snyder could have met on the same page and they could have seen eye to eye, that would have been a good thing. And that could have been great. And he had amazing plans, especially for Green Lantern. We saw the John Stewart stuff. It would have been great. But that's not where it's at right now. The studio is not with him, and he's not agreeing with them either. He's even low-key hinted some jabs at them a few times in interviews, to WB. So they're not seeing eye to eye. But if WB can see eye to eye with James Gunn, and they can, as you can see, they pretty much let him do whatever he wanted with this movie. Yeah. They had James Gunn written all over it. Yep. So if that's the case, and they can go forward, and let's say, for conversation's sake, that they did bring him in to become the next, I guess, Zack Snyder or the Kevin Feige of DC, I still think it would be a good thing for not only James Gunn and WB, but for the property as well. Because I think he did a great job with the characters, and he was able to give us some meaningful, little but meaningful backstory, and pretty much all of these characters made you care so much about them that by the end with Polka Dot Man, you're like, oh man, you felt crushed, right? Because just a little thing you heard from that.
Yeah, like the fact that his mom from Star Labs was experimenting on her children. Some of them didn't make it, and in order for him to survive, he has to secrete these freaking things out of him. In other words, like, he's just suffering every single day, and he's got so much PTSD. Everybody he sees is his mom. Like,
this is mom.
He's such a. It's hilarious, but at the same time, it's so dark and it's so messed up. And even Ratcatcher too. Like, her, like, she seems like a nice little chick. She just sleeps all the time. You know what I'm saying? But she also has a dad that was associated with a bad past, and he also had like a drug addiction. He also did some bad things. And by association, she's put into this situation. Yep. And she was one of the hearts of the film. Like, I was getting like, by the end of it, I was like, she added volumes to Idris's character. And at the same time, Polka Dot Man added volumes to other people around him. Like, they all complemented each other. And I think that's one thing that me and Lucas said in our review is that even though some of them died really quick, all of them had a moment. Yep. All of them had like a feeling of moments like, oh yeah, he was a douche. He was gonna die anyway. But oh, why did he get killed? Like,
let's not forget Milton.
Oh, Milton. Yeah, I was like, low-key, I was like, do they know this man is father? Because like Milton was just hanging with him. Like, I was like, they got to the darn place, and I was like, yo, Milton about to die.
I noticed halfway through that Milton. A matter of fact, I think on my rewatch last night with my fiance, we were watching it. And Milton was handing out the empanadas to everybody.
Yeah, he was.
In the background when they went to see it.
Right.
And I love Milton, man. That was a great addition to the whole like plot.
Yeah, only James Gunn could do something like that, for real. But all right, so let's go to the possible reasons why people didn't like it. I'm gonna try to be fair. Before I do that, I'm gonna do this. I don't want to do it, but we're gonna have to do it. So, all right, somebody put here, Suicide Squad is easily a 10 out of 10 I've ever given to a film. And if you look at the bottom, very close to the bottom, somebody says this is the most overrated movie to ever exist. It was good, but it was overhyped as F, you know? So then the person concluded with, all right, do you Marvel fans like Gunn? I would think the Gunn style wouldn't work for a Marvel fan, or if any other Guardians. And he's like, I like Gunn, and the movie is just overhyped. And I was like, okay, well, okay, that's how you feel. I think The Dark Knight was easily better. And I was like, why are you bringing The Dark Knight into this?
Literally, yeah.
So and then this is where it started getting really ruthless. Somebody was like, straight up, it's trash and offensive. And yet the movie is Latino Americans, dumb, brainless people worth killing that live among rats on all terrorists worth killing. I don't know what in the world you live in, but in this, we are not that. And I was like, hold up. Are you talking about that crazy general dude? And like, because I was like, I get it. And somebody even talked about the secretary. The secretary was like, oh man, she's so atypical, like that's really sexist. And I get like her wardrobe was really out there, but it was fleeting. It wasn't even that deep. I was more taken back that your boy James Gunn just killing everybody. Like these starfish are killing everyone. Everybody was dying.
The thing with the whole secretary is it was intentional, because even in my reaction when we were watching it and she just walked in the screen, I was like, what? I'm like, oh, look, man. I'm like, homeboy was just trying to watch the movie, and that's all I saw. Like that. Right. I mean, I wasn't trying to look for nothing. That's all I saw, and they obviously did that intentionally. Yes, I get the whole sexist approach, yada yada. Yeah, but like, I mean, okay. From what I understand about Corto Maltese, right? This is supposed to represent a country maybe like communist Cuba, or a really extreme nation. So this could have been anything. People make fun of the Russians all the time, right? Like with the Russian type stuff, or if you look at Sokovia, countries like that. So I mean, I get where he's coming from, and I understand that concern. You can see it that way, but that's not really how I saw it. When I saw it, I saw it as like, okay, we've seen countries like this in our lifetime a lot, where especially I'm from the Caribbean. Even in the Caribbean, we have this problem where they're like, and even in certain parts of Western Africa, there's still this issue where there's like generals and people that take advantage of their community. And it's ran by an entire dictatorship, and the military is in control of things, and there's always this resistance or small groups of people and militias that try to get things back. So I mean, this is everywhere. This is in the Caribbean, in my home area. This has happened before. Western Africa, South America, where my parents are from. This happens all the time in South America. Yeah, so, and it's kind of like I don't know. It was weird to me, because if you watch the movie, there's a group of rebels that are literally trying to overthrow the dictatorship that's going on, as well as even the guy that was trying to marry himself off to the crazy Harley Quinn, because she identified as somebody that wasn't going to be held down. She wasn't going to be oppressed. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of different things where the main lead females in this, I felt like they weren't like over sexualized, they weren't over glorified. Like they really were grinding out like situation. I mean, short from the Mongal, like she went out like a G, but she died. You know what I'm saying? Like it can't be helped. Like some people are gonna die, but everybody else, like they weren't depicted in a negative connotation. So I was really confused by that. But then the guy underneath him was like, got a feeling that Gunn wanted to make fun of the DC without anyone catching on. He literally said, Google the worst DC characters and put them on film. Starro, the villain. Like, do you know who Starro is? Starro is the first villain to fight the Justice League. What are y'all talking about? You know what's funny? Confession. I never knew about Starro until I heard about this, Really? That's a main confession. And I ain't afraid to confess. I tell the truth. I didn't know. And then I did my research and I'm like, okay, pretty cool character. But even still, like characters that I did know about though, like Arm Fall Off Boy, which they changed the name to TDK. was a real DC character. And I go like I talk about this all the time with my fiance. It's like there's mad. I have the DC encyclopedia a lot of people have, and I went through that thing one day. There's so many names and so many characters that it's so stupid. Like I've always laughed at some of the silly names in DC. Calendar Man, this man, like a lot of it was just kind of funny. So even if that's what he wanted to do, it's still, I think, funny just because most people in the DC community know about this. Yeah, that there's a lot of people, a lot of characters that, have silly names, so silly powers too. Like arm fall off boy literally took his arm off and just whacked people with it.
Dude, like he didn't want to tell people what his name was abbreviated for. I don't think he ever said it. But dude, that was the funny. I was like, honestly, throughout from the beginning of the film to the end of the film, I couldn't stop laughing. Like I was humbled at times. I was like, man, that was really like even Idris's conversation with his daughter. That John was funny, but it was also pretty sad at the same time because I was like, dang, like what's about to happen, But
I wanted to laugh, but I didn't at the same time because I'm like, dang, this is toxic.
Right. It's such a bad situation. But again, I mean, I'm just gonna go through a couple more, and then we can go ahead and kind of iron out what it probably was, the reasons. Am I the only one who didn't have a problem with the original? No, you're not. That's why it got an Oscar and was a box office success, only to make Nice Try, and people just throwing jabs left and right. Somebody said, yeah, I loved it. Probably my favorite DCU to date. Makes me want the Ayer cut even more. James Gunn killed it. Now, this is the other thing I was going to bring up to you. And have you been looking at the conversations that David Ayer has been having back and forth with James Gunn?
I haven't even seen those.
So David Ayer expressed that, there was a lot that Warner Brothers did early on that kind of put him in a bad situation to get the original draft of his cut. Like it was all just completely compromised and they just kind of cut out whatever he originally was going to do. But all throughout, even when James was even announced, David was supporting James. Like David was saying like, congratulations. I can't wait to see it. And then when the interview came up for James Gunn brought up David. He was like, I've had conversations with David. I can't wait to see his Ayer cut. I hope we finally get to see it. He even kind of mentioned like there's a lot of new people here working with Warner Media versus what was before. They literally were supporting each other. And like I think that David, like when the first reviews started coming out, he was really supporting it. So it's kind of like these guys are vibing. I don't think they're trying to hinder each other. If anything, like now it's kind of like, oh wow, this is doing so well. Let's see the Ayer cut. You know what I'm saying? Like this would be a really good time to kind of like HBO Max, like, all right, in a month, you guys will be able to see the Ayer cut. Like this would be a perfect time to do that. I don't feel like it's like. What'd you say?
No, I was saying I did see the message he wrote to that one guy in the press. I did see that message where he talked about it, and towards the end of that, he did mention that he was happy for James and that he's glad that he's got to tell his version of the story. So, I mean, like, there's no love. Everybody just vibing, and there's no reason why they should be fighting. I mean, they're filmmakers, they're in the same industry. Right. There's no reason to be fighting.
So this is the last one. All right. It was okay. 6.9. I'm looking for somebody to tell me why they don't like it. A little bit funny is okay, but this was far more than any Marvel movie. DC needs its own. I prefer DC to be darker with less comedy, in my opinion. Fair. Every time DC tried to be dark with less comedy, it's been critical failure. Suicide Squad, Batman vs Superman, Man of Steel. In the world today with cancel culture, yada, yada, yada. I don't even care about reading all that. Because at that point, I was kind of like, you guys are just going tit for tat. Like, what do you mean? Like, this is dark humor. Like, first off, this is probably the most entertainingly funny, full-on comic booky DCEU film we've ever gotten, in my personal opinion. Yeah. But I mean, that is you okay to have that feeling. Like, if you don't want any comedy at all, I get that. But it's kind of like, if it works, and why can't it be different? Like, you're not gonna have Shazam be a completely dark film. You're gonna have to have it play into the fact it's a kid. But anyway, so let's kind of go and break it down. It was possibly too much gore. There's nudity. I wrote down dark humor. I wrote down too funny. I wrote down too dark. I wrote down a hard R. And then our last thing I wrote was goes against the Snyderverse, which somebody made a statement of, which I don't agree with. Do you think any of these things merit why people didn't maybe like this film? And then we'll go to the chat and finish this.
I'm gonna do real quick. I'm gonna take out the nudity part. One, I think I remember maybe like 2 or 3 nudity scenes.
It was only 2. It was like only 2,
right?
Yeah,
and like. There was also that one scene in the bar when they went to the changing room. From that I remember, the girl was like trying to hide her chest or whatever. That's the only scenes I distinctively like remember. Right. But like I've seen movies with every 10 minutes was nudity. Right. Like this is nowhere compared to that. Okay, and gore, no. Like have you seen The Boys in the like one episode of The Boys? Bruh. You know what I'm saying? Like Invincible. There's so many other things out there. The Walking Dead, for crying out loud. There's a lot of things that have a lot of gore in there. And no, I think this was an appropriate amount of gore for this type of film. Yeah. I did think some parts were a little too gory for me, and I'll say why. I can't watch certain gory stuff while I'm eating certain foods. Okay. If I'm eating anything that has like meat or sauce or anything like that, I get. Oh, you're talking about the. But if I'm eating, but if I'm eating like popcorn or chips or drinking water or whatever, I don't care. But anyway, and all the other stuff like the Snyderverse stuff, like you said, I'm not even gonna address that. You already talked about that. And what was the last thing you mentioned?
I put that it was too funny and a hard R.
Nah, man. Honestly, no. I mean, I feel like if people think it was a hard R, I don't think they watched enough rated R movies. And then, too funny. I don't get that. I think it was actually naturally funny, in my personal opinion, in ways, especially like just little stupid scenes, like when King Shark was about to, eat rat catcher, and then John Cena just walks up in his underwear. Like I was not expecting a funny scene to happen, and then he called it tidy whities, and he said it was racist. Like that whole thing to me was just good comedy, like at its finest. So I don't know, man. Like I don't think it was that bad, man. I think the movie, as I said in the beginning of this, did its job, man. I think it did its job for what it was supposed to be. Don't look for any Oscar nominations. You might get an Oscar nomination for some type of filming things, but I did like the title transitions. They were one of the best things to be in the film.
Yeah, those were so clutch. I really enjoyed those. So for me, like it was 2 nudity scenes. Dark humor. This is my thing. This is a weird thing. If you know the Suicide Squad, the whole premise is based off of dark humor. Like these are villains. These are bad guys. So you would think, it would be like, look at Kick-Ass. Like the villains of Kick-Ass. Like the guy that was, the villain. I mean, he was doing terrible things. And even in the comics, it was a lot worse, When I think about like another rated R film, like, I don't know.
Like Watchmen, man. Like Watchmen. For crying out loud. Like, the director's cut of Watchmen.
Yeah. I mean, even Sin City, I mean, your boy, a couple of people got dismembered. Like it was bad. And I just went into this one thinking, if this is anywhere close to what the animated movie was, I was like, this could be actually really dope. And James exceeded my expectations and just kind of like everything goes, anything and everything goes. But when Peacekeeper and your boy Idris's character was going off.
Peacemaker,
when they were going off on their like competition on who was the best killer on all the freaking rebels who were the good guys. Yes. Bruh, I was by the end of it, I was crying laughing, dude, because I was like, this is so imaginatively gory that I have to give him all the credit because this is awesome. Because this would be something that Deadpool would do. Yeah. Deadpool would do this. Like if he was like going up against like, oh yeah, I know I'm a better killer than you, Logan. Like something like that would happen. And Deadpool, it just felt
Venom would be doing that.
True. and it's kind of like, or even shoot like the Punisher.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't understand why people didn't know what they were getting themselves into because
I don't know.
it just seems really weird to me. Like, this is a hard R, yes, but I felt like you would know that. The thing that I didn't know that the movie would have is moments of levity, moments of heart, some really good cinematography, some really good like exclusive action moments, and also a moment to just have a break and have fun. Like them going into the club and like Polka Dot Man sitting there just living it up, just seeing his mom I was. Bro, like the joint was just too naturally funny. So yeah, I was really confused. That's why I want people to tell me. We're at the 30-minute mark, so right now we're gonna go into the comment section and just kind of break it down, what you guys really thought of it. It's like 19 you guys here. Thank you guys for still being here. All right, let's see what we got here. This movie was trash, garbage, doo-doo.
That was the first comment I saw actually when you started it.
And it's a shame that the universe was started on Man of Steel, a masterpiece of a superhero movie, masterclass of pieces following by this.
Can I take
do you want to comment? Yeah, go for
it.
Yeah,
I do want to comment. I'm gonna say this, man. Come on, like people need to. Okay. Let me break this down because I can end up rambling. Couple things. We know what Zack Snyder was trying to do with the universe. We went under the assumption when Man of Steel started that we were going to get these films out. He had some backlash from the corporate back and forth. People going changing of presidents, all kinds of drama and inconsistency was happening during the making of these films. So by the time Zack was out, DC again was trying to make certain decisions. Warner Brothers was trying to make certain decisions, and I'm not making excuses for them because they made a lot of stupid decisions and stupid mistakes and treated their personnel, their cast, especially like Ray Fisher and that whole drama, that whole situation was messed up. So there's so much issues going on with this company that at this point, them focusing on, films that don't really have that connective tissue like the MCU, films that are just standalone films, different directors working on it at this moment. In 2021, I think this is the best decision for DC to continue to do that and to just let different filmmakers have their take on the film. And then when they actually decide to get it together and decide that they actually want to do a shared universe again, and they want to do an extended universe, then they can work on that the right way and take your time like Marvel does. But don't stop comparing it to Man of Steel. That was a different era. That was a different intention from the beginning. The whole point of it was different. Now we're in a whole different spot right now. And like somebody mentioned, I think you mentioned it earlier, or James mentioned it earlier, like that there's different people working now. Like this is a whole different DC right now. You can't expect it to be the same as Man of Steel. That's a whole bygone era. But anyway, let me stop. I'm gonna end up ranting.
No. Because I mean, my whole thing is I can go back to Aquaman, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I looked at Aquaman and I compare Aquaman to Man, I love Man of Steel. I do think Man of Steel is a masterpiece. I really do. Like, from the Superman, I love it. But if I looked at Aquaman and like it starts off pretty cool, and then all of a sudden, like the whole entire film looks gorgeous. It should have won a visual effects Academy Award. It didn't make sense why it didn't. But there were so many moments that I was like, this is so cringy. Why is this Pitbull song on? What am I watching? Like, I was like, this is just not it. You know what I'm saying? But I can sit there and rewatch Aquaman again for the fact that this is James Wan's interpretation of his idea of Aquaman. And it's going to be vastly different. Do they have to be connected? No. They're just a part of the universe. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay. There was a lot of people giving flack to the Joker because like, oh, well, that's not Heath Ledger's Joker. That's not my Jack Nicholson Joker. I'm like, bro, like this ain't even tied to anything. This is his own thing Todd Phillips decided he's going to do. And he wanted to make this a character piece in a way of the Joker, not even like the full-on Joker. And it's like,
and it was a masterpiece for DC.
When you can start to make films like that, and even Zack Snyder's Justice League that are just vastly different, then you open up your world to possibilities to be anything and everything. And it's like, we're going to get the Batman very soon. That might not be like anything we've ever seen before. From what I've heard, that this is the first time we're going to deal with the psychological effects that Bruce Wayne and Batman really has. It's always been focused on the villains, but it's never been like what's going on with Bruce Wayne psychologically. Because when you really think about it, he's pretty messed up. You know what I'm saying? And if you go off the normal thread of like what Christopher Nolan's done, what they've done in the past with Tim Burton, you would never get that.
Nope.
But it can still exist within the lore of DC. You know, I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna start rating.
It's the extended universe, right?
Right.
It's the extent. Just look, like I said, I've said this all the time. The reason I'm able to enjoy certain DC films is because of the perspective. I don't expect from them what I know they're not going to give me. I just want them to tell me a good movie, share a good story, and if you are making sequels to certain films, that's what I'm going to look for, like, you know, cohesion and stuff like that, like from Wonder Woman to Wonder Woman 84, from, you know, Aquaman to Aquaman 2, and so on, you know, Shazam to Shazam 2. That's when I'm going to look for consistency and cohesion. But like other than that, like I'm not trying to look for some. How can I connect Superman to the Suicide Squad? How can I connect Batman to this? Is Batfleck going to show up? Is Flash going to show up? Stop! Like just let it rock. Like let it rock and vibe.
You actually right about that. This is probably one of the first time where there are no hero, like, you know, throwaway moments. Like none of the heroes show up in this. Like it's just the villains. In the first Suicide Squad, you had the Flash, you had Batman, and you have some other, you know, characters. And I wonder if people's expectations like, oh wow, if Starro's in this, the only way they're going to be able to stop Starro is the Justice League have to be involved. I hope you guys didn't have that expectation, because even though James did say, well, he had thought about, instead of it being Starro, he thought about being Superman, which has been interesting to have Superman kind of come up. But now, if he has good faith with them, they could have it be a Justice League versus Suicide Squad, which we're getting the game up. You might get that. So you're going to have to, like, I don't know. We're going to keep moving.
Yeah.
I could go off on that for a minute. I love the Suicide Squad. I didn't understand the hate or anything. Haha. Yeah, right, movies? Team JVS and Matt. Hey, yes, let's go. Third, we in here. History repeats itself. Cases was the same with the first Suicide Squad. A film always has two sides of the spectrum. With the DCU, this is my thoughts. But I loved it. Cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it, bro. And you're right. You're right. Because even when the Suicide Squad did come out, some people were like, oh, man, this wasn't Assault on Arkham. This wasn't the Suicide Squad I saw from the animation, what it could be. And now you're getting that in this film, and you're still complaining.
Now you mad.
Like,
too much gore. It was too unfunny. Like, oh, let me stop. Okay.
I loved it. Definitely an unforgettable experience. Yeah. I definitely agree. Birds of Prey came out before the pandemic was anything serious. People in America were just talking about it for the first time that week. Right. Yeah, Cameron. That's what I was saying. That like people were trying to
last week actually too to see that. That's the last one I saw in the movies.
The weird thing is, we had gotten like a press invite to see A Quiet Place 2 during that time as well, and then everything shut down, and so then we had to wait. So the first movie I came back to see in the theaters was A Quiet Place 2, which is freaking dope. But it's just to give context, like that was a while ago, man. It's crazy. Let's see. I enjoyed the film, especially my favorite characters like Harley, King Shark, Ratcatcher in the movie. I just don't understand why some people probably don't like it. My thoughts. Car, that's why we're here. That's literally why we're here.
Can I say something about King Shark?
Yeah, please.
I love this King Shark, but I love the Harley Quinn series King Shark better. Just because Ron Funches. Have you seen it? Have you seen it?
Dude, I love, yes. Man, I've seen both seasons.
Ron Funches is hilarious.
Yep.
The whole stereotype, him being an IT guy, like, you know, I don't like these stereotypes.
Dude, like I was kind of like, if he's anywhere close to bubbly and dangerous and funny, then they've won. But to be fair, I do agree. I think that there's so many one-liners that he does in the Harley Quinn that's just amazing gold. This comic gold, for real.
Is the one with the mouse too. I don't know if you remember the one scene when the mouse smoked this when he got hit with the lasers and he smoked the cigarettes.
Yeah.
And then he was like, Look, it was going to be either lasers or lung cancer.
Dude, yeah, I remember that because even when he tried to, somebody tried to marry him off, and like he had a bad moment and he had to kill it. Dude, that joint is comic gold, bro. The Harley Quinn
went back to Arkham too, man.
That's the other thing.
Running the show at Arkham.
Yes. They showed for the first time, probably since David Ayer's Suicide Squad, or even like the Harley Quinn show, Harley Quinn being a little bit mentally off. Because like she's funny and she's dangerous, yes. But we haven't seen her just off because when she had sex with the man. Then she kind of was like, she just killed him. And then we were kind of like, what the world? What you killing? She's like, you know what? I see a lot of red flags here. And killing children, that's not. I was just like, I just want to see you die like this. And just like, I was like, okay, that's it. You understand it. And then that freaking action scene with her, bro. How can you give this movie anything lower than an 8 when she has one of the best action moments of the DCU? And your girl Margot Robbie did the whole thing herself, bro. And I was just like, I was talking to Lucas. I was like, bro, I ain't never seen nothing like this. This is the best they've used her on the action level. Period. So I was like, I don't know what you complaining about. Like when you get moments like this, but
Birds of Prey, I like Birds of Prey personally. I liked it, but the action for her was good in that. But in this one, and one thing I will say I appreciate too is that they actually didn't because the studio wanted to like massively sexualize Harley in the David Ayer version, and which is what they did. And I understand that comic book wise, Harley Quinn is a very sexual character in nature. But what I appreciated about this film was that they actually didn't do that with her. They actually kept her fully clothed, like the entire film. Like she wasn't doing anything crazy. She was just out just being Harley. Having pride in herself and taking care of herself. Yeah, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, even during the sex scene, she wasn't nude. Like they kept it completely classy and at the same time epic. Because I was worried, like when they had her like strung up in the torture scene, I was like, where are we going with this now, James? Look, don't do nothing crazy.
I'm
now.
Like he was on some heat too for his tweets. So I'm like, James, you better be careful with the scene now.
Yeah, and that's
careful now.
And
you don't need no heat.
That's another thing that I didn't take into consideration. I should have wrote it down. Is the backlash of James' original downfall that brought him to this situation. Him getting fired from Disney and him getting cut from everything, and then DC taking a chance on him doing this. And bringing him into the fray, and then Disney accepted him back, and it's kind of like,
can't accept this.
and you wonder, and it's like do some Marvel fans feel jaded by that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like some people may be like, okay, no, I just don't vibe with whatever he did because of what he did, and then some people it's like, oh wait, you turning coat, like how you gonna do DC and then still go back and inspect? So I'm just wondering if that also played a role in it, but.
Yeah, a filmmaker's allowed to make movies with whoever he wants. If Taika Waititi can be a director and show up in Thor and be Ratcatcher in the DC universe, come on, y'all ain't saying nothing about Taika. Ain't nobody talking about Taika. Taika was he can say he's Turco. He played Ratcatcher.
Bruh, Taika, if Warner Brothers was smart, they would have kept this man on for freaking Akira, bro. Like he was about to do Akira, and they dropped the ball, bro. Like. Anyway, I'm keep moving. We got to end this thing out in 15 minutes. All right, I love the movie personally, and I recommend people go and watch it. Yeah, theaters. I can't say recommend. This is sad. Like I can't recommend to go to the theaters right now because it's dangerous out here in the streets, bro. Like I don't want none of my subscribers to die. I don't want anybody to get hurt or worse underlying conditions dealing with something. It's available on HBO Max, and I personally feel like. I think Warner Brothers is proud of how well it's actually doing. That it's well liked, that it made some money, yes, but it's probably. I think that they had what's the report? Let me see if I got it up here.
I know they went up in subs over the last year.
I think that this was the second highest. Yeah, here it goes right here. Yeah, this was the second highest viewed film opening weekend HBO Max since the day and date release in theaters. You never believe what the one that was the first one. It was not. Supposedly, it wasn't Zack Snyder Justice League. I don't think they ever released those numbers. I'm not going to go into that.
No, they didn't. They didn't. That was just let's get this guy out of here and just be done with the kind of situation.
Yeah. So let's all right, we gotta try to weed through. Good Lord, it's a lot of y'all left comments.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness. Okay. Wait, am I skipping anybody? I feel like I skipped somebody. Well, you'll be all right. The marketing was
the good ones.
Yeah, that's what we have to do. Okay, so somebody said the marketing was not as good as the first one. Okay.
I've been seeing a lot of debate about that on Twitter. Because I think they released a number. I think they put in $100 million into the marketing, and they had $152 million budget, I think.
Yeah, the market's never going to be good, considering everything has changed with the movie theaters. I agree, and that's exactly what I was about to say. You took the words right out of my mouth. Like, how are you going to market stuff with this when people are afraid to go out? Like,
they were pushing HBO Max mainly, actually, with the marketing.
Yep, that's all they were trying to do. Even with the marketing is good, so y'all going back and forth. Well, who knows? Negative aspect happens every movie. Okay, so DLW, are you still here? The film was only okay. I need y'all to tell me what that means.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
like, explain yourself, because I'm trying to think of a movie that was just okay. What's a movie that was just okay that I recently seen? Look, because there's been some dry movies out here in these streets. I can't think.
I saw a horrible rom-com the other day that was just okay. I think it was like an indie film. We didn't realize it was an indie film till the end of it. What was it called?
Yeah.
The Right One. It was was just okay film.
So I'm gonna say something. All right, I got something, and I'm probably get canceled for it. Even though I think Florence Pugh was amazing in it, I think Black Widow was just okay.
And I get that. I get it.
And
it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite either, but I get it.
And it's not necessarily because the merits of the movie. It's the timing that the movie came out. Like, it was irrelevant in the sense of when it comes out. It's kind of like, yeah. Anyway, all right. Yeah. To be honest, people aren't liking it. I feel like they are prude because gore. They're not liking Gunn because they hate Gunn. This is coming from a Snyder supporter. The movie was good. I think they're right. I think on all accounts.
That might be it.
All this makes the most amount of sense. It's like somebody wants to be indifferent. Somebody's like, I don't like gore, but yet you look at Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
You hate Gunn. And it's like, bro, I can't wait for Zack Snyder to say something about this movie, bro. Ronan, are you coming in, bro? We were waiting for you to get in. Ronan was actually supposed to be a part of this. He couldn't get off work at the time. But also the timeline or soft reboot confuse people.
I mean, honestly, I just view it as a movie. Just view it as a movie. I didn't look at it as a continuation or anything. Just view it as a movie. It's just a movie. It's a film. It's a Suicide Squad film. Just view it as Suicide Squad.
So I'm gonna say this, and granted, I haven't seen it as many times as you, but this could be a sequel to his Ayer cut. Matter of fact, it technically is a sequel to Harley Quinn movie, because she mentions, how she was working and doing some bank robberies and she got caught again. Mm-hmm. So it's not really a soft reboot or anything. Like, this seems like this is a continuation. It doesn't seem like a reboot or anything, because they even brought back Boomer and your boy Flag.
You like, hey, Hoss.
Right. I thought that was dope. Oh, yeah, somebody did say, like, how you going to kill Boomerang? How you going to kill Joe Kinnaman's Rick Flag? I was like, bro, this is a suicide. Like, y'all lucky they didn't kill Harley Quinn low-key, because I thought everybody was going to get wiped, honestly. I know we can tell people Harley was a stripper. Oh, my gosh. Short. So in the 2016 version, Gunn gave her respect.
That literally not just say that?
You did.
Didn't I just say that? They kept her literally in a dress the whole movie. The most you saw was her leg half of her leg when she ripped off the dress to kill the dude with the fragment of the dress.
Facts.
So I appreciate that.
Personally, was good. Nothing amazing or anything. It at least felt like it was directed by James Gunn, not a corporation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe just people just, I don't know. I'm waiting for somebody to really tell me like a concrete, like, wow, is this okay? Because I thought this joint was so hype, bro. The movie was a great film, but other than it was what film didn't have anything, to be honest. Like, it was really well made movie, but I don't see the hype or even how people are trashing it. That's really indifferent.
When I went into it, no, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying when I went into it originally, I just kept seeing, a shout out to like just my opinion reviews. I see his videos pop up a lot, and I think his video was the first one that I saw pop up, and he was like talking good about the film. Like, this film was really good. This film was really good. And for me, I was like, I feel like the movie's gonna be okay before I went into it. And then when I saw the movie, and Real Rejects and all, and they were talking about the movie was good. And then when I saw the movie, I was like, oh, okay, now I know what they're saying. The movie was that good.
Yeah. So it's the same story structure of Deadpool, but made entertaining instead of not just a boring. I liked Deadpool though. So now people are losing me a little bit, but it's all good. I agree, bro. I can't wait to rewatch that joint. Can't wait to rewatch it. 3 weeks to write a story. Yeah, did you hear about that? Like, David Ayer only had 3 weeks to write the story for.
Don't know how.
Bruh, what?
Were you like alcoholized or like? So, I don't know. Did you eat a lot of food? You got the itis or something? Like, right after that? So maybe
people were I don't know. I'm trying to figure out where a person's mindset is going into this. What were they really looking for? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's the only way we can answer this question. It's kind of like, what was your idea of what this Suicide Squad was going to be? Who was going to be their villain? Did you think it was going to be somebody like Deathstroke? Do you think they were going to go up against the Justice League? Because it seems like more of an expectation thing than anything.
I think so.
We have a pandemic going on. Great numbers for the pandemic. Dang, bro. There's no way. I'm going to have to skip down. I have to just
there's a lot of comments.
It's way too many. Some from the same people, too. I'm trying to get somebody else. People are trashing the movie for Zach. Dang. Oh, Lord.
I'm sorry, what?
Didn't change my opinion. Dang. Okay, DJ. Okay. Look, I don't know if I can comment on that one. You got anything to say on that? Okay.
Nothing on the internet ever gets deleted. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. I got nothing to say.
That's why it's like Scott Pilgrim, the world of the DC. Thank you. Somebody gets it. Yes, that.
Yep.
That full on comic book. Yes.
That's a good example because look how silly that film was, Scott Pilgrim. I only just watched it for the first time a few months ago, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I was late to the game, man. I was late to it.
I would have put you on that a long time ago.
Man, I enjoyed every single second of it.
Bro, that movie is a classic, bro. That movie is a straight up classic. I need to go ahead and purchase the 4K version of that because I think it just came out.
Heard about that, yeah.
Actually, I want to see more Pete Davidson keep.
It's the John. Is that John Cena with beard? That looked like John Cena with a beard, or is that you? I can't tell.
It's definitely John Cena.
It looked like John Cena with a
beard. Oh gosh, I so hope Weasel has a
Davidson. Yo, Weasel, yes.
Weasel was awesome.
Weasel was great.
Weasel was awesome.
I saw a good comment towards the bottom. I don't know if you want to go down to that one from the Low Dawn show. All the way at the bottom.
Oh yeah, I see it. Hold on. Margot Robbie is a true beauty. Can never get enough watching Harley Quinn. Fast Crown. Okay. Do you think it would be good as a PG-13? Still be good as a PG-13. Oh man.
I got a yes for that.
Oh, go ahead, comment.
I got a yes for that simply because he did 2 Guardians films and was still able to make those great for the PG-13 rating. I think the rated R made it just more to show us what he was capable of with that green light.
Yeah, so I think I would say yes as well. The weird thing is this. I love James Gunn's rated R stuff. I hadn't seen his rated R stuff in a long time, like since Slither. You know what I mean? Like I hadn't seen that in a while. And when I watched this, I was like, yo, I've missed this, James. I've missed, even like thinking about Dawn of the Dead, like I've missed his versions of that. You know what I'm saying? Like I love the first Guardians. Second Guardians, not so much, but I do appreciate him as a filmmaker with that style of PG-13 film. I think it would be fundamentally different of a film because it's something about just how out there this is. Like anything went. Like people were dying, things were happening that just should have never happened, and it was just all insane throughout. And so I think that they could make this a makeshift that, but it would kind of end up like that Deadpool PG-13 version that I really just didn't like necessarily. Mm-hmm. It was funny, but it felt like a shell of what, you know, the original was, in my personal opinion. So I think, yes, it would work, but it'd be very fundamentally different too.
A movie like this needs to be rated R, I think, just because it makes it more realistic to the type of situation. A Suicide Squad is not going to go on a mission. If you have a concept of a Suicide Squad, you're not going to go on a mission and not have casualties. You're not going to go on a mission and not have bodies flying all over the floor and people's brains being blown all over the place. It's just not realistic. So I think it kind of has to be rated R. But it would work.
Yeah, I agree with this comment. There was more gore in this than the Mortal Kombat. It was, which is crazy because, yeah, that Jack scene was gory, but this did not hold back at all. Mortal Kombat Rush, ready to deliver the violence. Chris P. What's going on, Chris P? This will probably be our last comment, and we're going to close out. People are just hating on this film. I personally loved it. People like Tyrone Magnus hating on it because this movie was more successful than the Justice League cut. No cap. Oh, man, see, that's a trigger comment because the Justice League movie is a movie that should have came out in 2017 that's just now being realized and released. And so there was a lot of hype building behind this Zack Snyder Justice League. And I feel like, yeah, some people were like okay with it, but it did its job. That people felt like it was a good film. And I think that that's all that was meant to be. The crazy thing is that I feel like there was more hype off of Justice League in the early part of this year than this. I think that when we went into DC fandom, we were looking for that Justice League joint. Yeah, and we were like, yo, where's that? Like, yeah, the Batman stole the show for sure, but we were more so like, okay, Suicide Squad, when it comes out, it comes out. But we were all anticipating whatever come what may, bad or good, Zack Snyder Justice League. So I think that's a little bit of a trigger question, but I understand what you're trying to say for sure, in terms of everybody else. But
look, I heard, you know, with Tyrone's in terms of Tyrone, I don't think he's hating on it, man. He's entitled to his own opinion,
right?
You know, he really is entitled. And matter of fact, everybody is entitled to their own opinion, whether they like it or hate it on this film. But you know, people, and again, when it comes to big reviewers and stuff, they're literally just like us. They just like us. They just like you and me with an opinion, and they have a platform like we do, just on a bigger scale. Don't look too hard to it. Like, oh, if Grace Randolph or if Tyrone Magnus don't like it, then the movie must suck. No, if you take away Grace and Tyrone's numbers and their influence, and they still have the same opinion, would it really matter as much? Not really.
Yeah.
So don't look at it that way. It's just an opinion. You know, he's entitled to it. She's entitled to it. Just enjoy. If you like it, go about it your own way. Honestly, just vibe. Have a good time and just vibe. And if you don't like it, keep it pushing.
Right.
Like, that's it.
Yeah,
You don't gotta be, crazy about it.
we're only here to kind of go from a subjective standpoint and break down why people either liked or disliked this. And the thing about that, to Matt's point, don't allow our opinions to sway you, no matter how big me or Bat get. Like, if you enjoy the film or if you dislike the film, let it be that. Like, don't go off of Grace. Don't go off of me. Don't go off of Matt. Don't go off of Tyrone. Like, don't go off of Akasan. Like, if you feel a way about a film, own it. And then you talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't, because I think that some people, it's like, they feel stupid if, everybody around them is disliking something and they're liking it. And they're like, oh, I got to conform where I sound stupid. Which that happens a lot with the DCU, unfortunately. Marvel don't really have that many problems like that. But don't allow that to be your situation. Okay.
It's like a high school peer pressure thing. It never left high school. You just gotta chill, bro. Just chill, have fun with it.
Oh,
and like you said, and different opinions are good too, though. Different opinions are good if you can have a good constructive conversation about it, and you can learn from each other. Like, why did this is what, like you said, what we've been trying to find out this entire stream was why people did not like this film. If you can tell me why, and then I can be like, okay, I see what you mean. I get what you're saying. Then I have now learned something. And if you can see it my way too, then you would have learned something. And we walk away from the conversation, appreciating each other's points of views, disagreeing, but appreciating. But
exactly.
Yeah. Let me chill out. It's 1:30.
Yeah, it's 1:30. We're gonna look at these last two comments, and then we're gonna let Matt, plug his channel and go from there. So the Snyder Cut felt more special because nothing like it has ever happened before. True, or maybe never will. It was 4 hours, something long. Had a mini series like structure. It should have been a mini series. I'm still pissed off that they didn't let them do it like that. Also in a black and white cut, absolutely. And then Crispy said, I like this man, yes. New chorus, real with it. Thanks for the love, broski. Very true what you guys said. Watch it, enjoy it. We all fans at the end of the day. Real rap. That's it. So, all right, Matt, where can everybody find you? What do you do? What is your platform? Let's go for it.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on today, bro. It's been good talking about it. I've been itching to talk about it with somebody. So you're actually the first person that I've talked to about it on YouTube. So appreciate it. You guys can find me on YouTube here with the name right down there, Matthew V. Haynes. I do movie reactions, TV show reactions, occasional movie reviews, movie news content, updates, breakdowns, theories, all that kind of stuff. So if you guys are into that stuff, and I scream a lot. And I freak out a lot on camera. And if y'all like that stuff, and I react to stuff with my mother too. So if you guys want to see an interesting generational dynamic, you can check that out too. So look for me on YouTube at Matthew V. Haynes.
Look, and now all you guys know how much I scream back in the day. And you guys that are vets back in the day, y'all know how much I scream. So y'all should be subscribed to this man. Go down to the description bar below. Go check him out. Subscribe to his YouTube channel and check out the content he's got coming out. This man is very talented. He's also a musician. He's got business, man. He's about his business, and he's also, about to get married pretty soon. So, congratulations to him, and I appreciate you for joining, man. If
Can
y'all
I say one thing to that, guys? Team JVS. Before I started my YouTube channel, he was one of the people. This channel was one of the channels that I watched to get me into this whole thing, man. I used to watch your Flash reactions. Yes,
what?
It was you, Akasan, Tyrone, Real Rejects, all the people, everybody that was doing Flash at the time, or like Arrow and all those types of videos. I watched those videos. I'm like, man, let me give this a try. So I definitely owe you a thanks for influencing the channel and all those other bigger channels and everybody else that influenced the channel. So,
man, trying to get me all emotional.
Yes, man. No, it's true, man. It's true. I had to say. I mean, it's true.
Nah,
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the love, bro.
Nah, I appreciate it, dude. Get this man to 51K, bro. He's almost there. Subscribe now.
Almost there.
Do it now. We just try to get to 52. Get him to 51. But yeah, you guys, we're gonna be doing a spoiler-filled review later on tonight with the Suicide Squad, me and Lucas. I'm leaving it open to invite for Matt if he wants to come back. But we're gonna be talking anything and everything about some of the stuff we did miss in this, and just kind of breaking the film down as a whole and what is possibly gonna come next. Because I think that's gonna be the more interesting thing. What do they do with James Gunn moving forward now that this has been a technical success? All right, guys. We'll talk to you guys later. Keep it locked. Go subscribe to Matt.
Appreciate it.